great love, great respect. I want to welcome all of you here. And for those who are fathers, we'll say Happy Father's Day. It's nice to have you here on Father's Day, so we can talk about that relationship. As usual, here in the Hindu Learning Center, the purpose of the teachings here are to make you understand your own life, to understand what's your purpose here, why you're here, where you're going, to find you. Many people have not asked that question yet of who are you really? So here we try to help you to find that. And to find that, we provide ways of finding peace within yourself, and through the chanting and the learning of mantras and meditation and yoga. And stories, of course, that affects your life in a spiritual way, practically. So today, we're going to talk about the power of children. Incidentally, there's a very interesting story that caught my eye on the news, and it was the Casey Anthony story that's appearing in the courts right now. And it's amazing how many people are fighting to get into that courthouse. But how much attention have we paid to the fact that this one child has caught so much attention and is changing the whole world and changing the whole community and so on. So we fail to see the effect of a child from the time it's born, how it affects the whole world. One child changing the whole world, and therefore today being the Day of the Parents, we're going to talk about the power of parents over children, and how the parent is what determines the future of the child, but not only the future of the child, but the future of all of us. Each time a baby is born, every time a child is born, how it changes the whole world, and don't just change the people's lives. So this story in the court, look how many lives it's affecting, even the judge's life, court's life, people's life, and so on. So one child, even after it died, even in death, it can affect us. So this power of a child in our life, and therefore when we think about Mother's Day and Father's Day and so on, we have to think carefully about what we are doing. And when we blame our children for being what they are, being how they are, and if we don't like the way the children are, first before we think about how bad that child, we are branding that child, or we are looking at a child in a bad way, first we have to look at ourselves. So again, that Father's Day, Mother's Day, we should be reminded of that. Once there was a test among the gods, and they wanted to know who can go the fastest around the world, who has enough speed to go around the world the fastest. And so this is a test given to Lord Ganesh and his brother Kartikeya. And so the two of them decide to get that test from Lord Ganesh, and Kartikeya took off. Of course, he was the oldest one, so he takes off first. And Ganesh, of course, didn't do anything. And so he started to go around his parents. And so his parents asked Shiva asked him, and Parvati asked him, says, well, what are you doing? He says, my world is my parents. So I'm going to go around you, the two of you, and therefore I already won. Right? Because the world is your parents. And so he won the race, because he went around his parents. So Lord Ganesh was considered one of the wisest of all. And so his wisdom was exemplified in that story. So that's what children need to learn, that their whole world is their parents. Right? And if you haven't learned that, look back at all your experience and see where all your habits, all your love, all your likes and dislikes, what kind of husband you pick, what kind of wife you pick, all have some relationship to your parents. So great is a connection between parents and children. Right? Now, like I always said, the mother has the most effect on the child, because the mother is the first teacher. And the first word, of course, is always mom. I didn't find any kid that comes out with pop, but it's always mom. So mother has the most effect on the child. Mother has 150% effect. Father only have 95%. So mother is always right. But father, of course, becomes the most influential figure, the most influential parent to both children, female and male. In terms of the female, the father gives the female the relationship between man and woman. Because of the father, the child, the girl, or the baby, or the female child will learn how to relate to men. And so, if it's a relationship where she doesn't have any kind of love from the father, she will not be able to find any kind of love relationship with men. And so she will not be pleased with any partner. That's how dramatic that is. And in the terms of the mother, if she doesn't have a good relationship with her mother, she will always be haunted by the fact that she is never able to serve her parents, her mother. And so that she will not be able to be happy enough to serve her husband. So both parents have this drastic effect on the child. Yes. And nowadays, people forget about the children when they're young, and then when the child grows up, and the child comes home to the parents and says, "Mom, I'm pregnant." Then she wakes up and she says, "Oh boy, where did I go wrong?" Right? Meanwhile, she did already went wrong, because she didn't take care of that child and give the child responsibility, right, of the parents. My favorite one is when the guy comes to the parents and says, "I'm gay." Oh boy, all hell broke loose. Why? Because the parents now wake up and say, where did I go wrong? But you did go wrong. Now you can't try to blame it all on the child. The child who has turned gay, that's his orientation. That's how he was brought up. Because he was never given the proper experience, the proper teachings at home. Now, when there's no difference between the child saying he's gay and the girl saying she's pregnant at 14, 15. Or the girl come home saying that she's divorced. There's no difference between those three. It all has to do with the parents. So that's why we are ready to blame the children, but we are not ready to look at us, look at ourselves, and see what did we do to create that. And what we do to create it is this. Very simple. Relationships. Relationship. You have to form a relationship with your children from the time they're babies, from the time they're unborn. Look at the unborn child, Casey Anthony. Look at that child who's not even alive. Look what effect it has on your life. What about the one who's alive? All you can do is love the children, if you're a parent, for what they are, and not what you think they should be. And what they are is as a result of what you have created. Right? We can't blame one person for the whole society, whole of society's problems. In other words, you can't say, okay, this person is bad because he's gay, and then blame the whole society for this. No. on Father's Day, I'm telling you, it is our own karma. We created that. So you have no choice but to accept what is happening because we created it. See, today in the news and everything you hear about the abuse of children, and because of the abuse of the children, think of what that is creating in society and so on. So charity begins at home. If you are going to change the children, change them from young. Now here's how it happens. Everything that a child learns up to age 7 is what's going to determine the child's way of living up to age 7. Before age 7, whatever he sees, whatever she is trained to do, whatever words he hears, is going to become part of her life, he or she life. Now, after age 7, you get into the next set of age is after age 9 or 10. Everything that the child now experiences is going to determine their marriage life, their love life, who they're attracted to, right? And if it happens to be a male figure who's connected to them at that moment, that male figure is going to become the basis of their life, right? Whatever they experience between the age of 10 and 14, which is called the adolescent age, is the orientation they will choose in terms of sexual preference. Whatever life they choose has been given to them between the age 1 and 7. Right? And so that's what's going to determine what they choose for career, what they choose for all the things. So again, parenting begins from the childhood days. Right? Love for that child, how you treat the child, how the child is treated during that time is what determines the child's life. So when you are making choices and you think you're making these choices, it's not you. It's based on it's not just you at that moment, but it's based on what you have done when you were young. Right? And you know, I had this case, this guy, he always chooses an older woman. Whenever he's young, he's about 25 years old, and every time he goes out, he chooses an older woman with children. So his parents would complain to me and say, well, Swami, can't we get him to choose a single girl? He keeps choosing all these older women with children, right? Meanwhile, when we decided to look into it and look at the horoscope and so on, when he was young, about 12, his neighbor, the lady next door, had children, and she was having a relationship with him. So he grew up with that. So that's why it's very, very dangerous ages, around 7 and around 10, 11 for children. So that's why we, nowadays when I do it, I tell the parents, take good care of the child between 10 and 11. I produced a book called Garban Sanskar, which helps you to assimilate the child from birth and so on. But all of this is very important. So, you know, this day of Father's Day, Mother's Day and everything, it's not just a celebration. It is the very thing that illustrates how important they are in determining your life.